How so back do you have to be before you have the right to be so screwed? And also, don't you just hate when the heat kills all of your brain cells for the good strategies? Welcome to Tinfoil Helmets, your occasional spicy hot take roundup with all the latest F1 rumors, but the almost believable conspiracy theories to back them up. Everything here has been carefully researched for hours. Or not. We're just making it up as we go.
Yes. Yes, we are.
So, did we get anything right about the Austrian Grand Prix?
Middling. Max is back. Yes. Kimi is back.
I'm not going to go so far as to say.
Max is back, apart from the accidentally Charles Leclerc in his final lap in Q3. But
no, I think this is just the. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, there was the secret meeting in Austria about Max's future with Red Bull that we all knew about, and this just seems like the formulation of the plan to get Max back on a podium at the Red Bull ring to secure his future with the team until.
He's going to be convinced to stay for another 2 years, and he's not going to sign with anybody else, and he's going to retire at the end of 2028, and he'll take what comes. That's what's going to happen.
That's the saddest answer.
I know.
I know it's the most likely answer, but it's the saddest answer.
But, such is life. Kimi is back? Not really.
He was on the podium.
He was on the podium. If he tried harder in qualifying and not respected the yellow flags, he would have been on pole and then would have won.
Yellow flag. One. There was only, not double, one.
Do not give me the regulatory version of this. We need to think about what the purpose of flags are for, and that's that the drivers should be embracing each other's safety.
Well, some might even say it was the wrong color.
Should have been a redder?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't disagree. I thought it was going to be a red flag. Was there rain? No, but they did talk about it. Another 3 laps, we might have got some rain.
Oh, do we have any Sound of Music references?
No.
I didn't watch enough of the broadcast to know.
No, you didn't miss anything. There weren't any.
Nah.
You thought that Lewis would close the gap?
It was looking good there for a while until Ferrari tried to run back the strategy from Barcelona.
Yeah, and I also think the car wasn't fast enough for reasons. The amount of harvesting the Ferraris were doing on the straights was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they were managing. I think the car is looking good. I think they were supposed to bring a better engine and everything, and I think there was some I do think there was some improvement. I think the heat killed them.
Yes, concur.
I don't think that car is meant to race in the global warmings.
Well, they should get on that.
Well, they're going to England next, which famously is not global warmed.
You do not say that to British people this week. They will 100% call you out and stab you in the eye. It was very hot this week. You also suggested that Max would be on the podium.
He was on the podium.
He was. He was in P2.
He was in P2.
And then you said that George would throw a tantrum. I'm giving you a yes on this because he just drove through a crash that somebody could have been seriously injured with.
Borderline violent.
Exactly. So a bit of a mediocre. Did anything happen between the races?
We discussed canceling the podcast for forever if George wins the World Driver Championship.
Yes, I think I probably would consider doing that because I don't think Here's the thing. I respect that George has skills to drive the car. And I understand that he's tall and that, maybe he's slightly annoying because just the way he is. But every time he comes on the radio or he does an interview, I was enjoying so much yesterday, the qualifying interview where the interviewer was like, "So George, how was that for you?" And George was like, "Mom, mom, mom." It's okay, thank you. Let me talk to Lewis. And then talks for twice as long to Lewis. And then I was disappointed when he came back to George again. I just want to punch George in the face. And it's not personal. It's just, he's just obnoxious.
It sounds personal.
It's not, I promise. Okay.
He is rather obnoxious.
It's just, it's not, there's something about the way he's heart cannot cope. Anyway, between race drama.
Kevin Magnussen threatened to punch again.
Yes, I can't remember who was in trouble with that because there was a whole thing about who was in trouble, and it looked like it should have been K-Mag, but it looks like the other guy was the guy that was getting in trouble.
So I think from the racing point of view, the other guy whose name is escaping me was at the NASCAR event in the Bay Area somewhere. I think it was at Alameda.
Yeah, and I think it's got left and right turns.
Yeah, it was a road course for NASCAR. And the other guy was doing a decent amount of blocking and kind of driving a bit unsafe. And at some point in time, Kevin just tagged him and made a pit maneuver on him. So he went spinning around, and that's NASCAR for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then in the end, I think he thought that Kevin was going to be this F1 media trained darling, and he was getting all up in his face at the end of the race or after in the cool down area sort of stuff. And Kevin Magnussen was essentially like, I told you to fuck off. Why are you still here? Go away. Like,
did this NASCAR driver not see Hulkenberg versus K-Mag with Suck My Balls?
Yeah, he missed why Kevin Magnussen is part of the reason Kevin Magnussen is no longer in Formula One.
You understand why Gunter wanted a fox smash his door now.
Yeah, but it was very amusing though.
Yes, I gave us a little bit of a levity, which otherwise is somewhat lacking. Speaking of levity, Fernando says he's thinking about retirement, and then in a very strange way asked him, I'm like, no, he's still amazing. We should keep him, and I can't work out what's going on, whether he's trying to get a big contract. I think he's retiring at the end of this year.
Well, the problem is, if he retires, they have to put somebody else in that car next to Lance Stroll, who will immediately expose Lance Stroll.
Well, this isn't going to be a problem because they need to fix the car first and the engine, so it's probably fine.
Hey, it finished, unlike the Cadillacs that both caught fire.
One of the Aston Martins finished. I think a lap down at least, so it's all good.
Oh, I'm sure it was a lap down. I haven't even looked yet, and I'm sure it was a lap down.
Did you hear the amazing stat about the Aston Martin and George Russell's lift for the yellow flag?
No.
Okay, so
George. Should we talk about this? Should we talk about this during qualifying instead?
No, we needs to be here because it's about Fernando. So George Russell lifted in the situation in Q3, which we will come to, appropriately and followed all the regulations. Aston Martin's top speed of the entire weekend through the same corner was lower than George's 50% throttle lift through the corner. So at full racing speed, the Aston Martin is slower than George trying not to crash into somebody else. I think that says a lot about the Aston Martin. It's slightly problematic at best.
Oh, hey, Sergio's not going to get a grid drop for next race.
Because he'd already retired from the race, and therefore that was enough damage to his emotions.
I was going to say that there's no point of a grid drop when you're at the back anyway.
We've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. If you get a grid drop, you need to go the distance, not the number of places.
100%. Oh my gosh, so many people ignored blue flags as well. I haven't looked at any of the decision documents yet.
Blue flags! And there were so many yellow flag infringements too. Yes, so apparently the Fernando is probably going to retire. It's great. MBS, the non-murderous one, as far as we know, has been elected perpetual president because they've decided to remove term limits from the FIA. The question ultimately that I have about this is, how petty do you have to be that the only thing you have in your life is getting infinite term limits in the FIA? Like, what power do you really have? What can you do? I don't understand why they keep trying to do this. This is so weird to me.
I'll have you know, Fernando was only 3 laps down today.
Oh my God, that was so bad. I watched at one point and he was 54 seconds off after he'd served some sort of penalty, but 3 laps is pretty brutal.
The interval to Alex Albon is listed as 1 lap.
Oh, he was last, right? Last on track.
Yeah, he did 68 laps.
Whew. Well, that sucks. What else happened? Oh yeah. Other news. After being granted the right of review for Russell's penalty that he observed in Monaco, which took everything away from him, after all that effort, Merck was like, yeah, actually we won't bother with it, which I just thought was ridiculous. And then Ferrari and especially Audi have turned up with their new engines approved and ready to go for this race. I don't think that helped either of them. Maybe Audi, they think they did okay in the end. Ferrari's was clearly sticky back plastic and bubblegum. The rumour is the Audi engine is an entirely new engine.
The Ferrari was certainly smoking a lot again this week.
It was really smoking. At one point, I was like, I know they smoke a lot, but I think that engine might be about to go bang.
They're not burning some oil for sure.
Yet, you'd have thought of all the teams that would be driving around with an oil burner, it would be Audi, who had built great diesel engines, not Ferrari, who I don't think have ever made a diesel engine their entire life. So yeah,
maybe that'll be their comeback after their all electric car.
Diesel.
They'll build a diesel. Yeah,
they're going to go and put Enzo Ferrari's pee in the special tank that ruins emissions or whatever it is.
Well, he's already. I mean, they probably power that electric car by him rolling over in his grave.
Yes, I agree. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anything else for between race drama? Nothing happened.
The MBS perpetual president bothers me.
Why does it bother you particularly? I mean, it bothers me because I just don't understand it and it seems ridiculous.
It bothers me because, well, term limits just kind of bother me in general, or getting rid of term limits or something like that bother me in general. The thing that also bothers me is that it was the whole thing of how he got elected most recently, of like, you have to, there's like a very specific way you have to get a challenge to the FIA presidency. Like, you have to have support in like all 7 regions or something like that. Or yeah, essentially you have to like build your coalition of like all 7 regions, and if like a region doesn't sign on, then like you can't do, like, it's just it's weird. So I think this is just like, it's, if that wasn't the case and somebody could just challenge the presidency, like, sure, fine, whatever, get rid of the term limits, I don't care as much. But because like the rules are already so convoluted to like oust the president, like that's why it bothers me, in the sense of like, oh, we're just trying to maintain control for control's sake. And
you have verbalized my own feelings on it.
If you had good ideas, you wouldn't need to worry about term limits.
If you were good at what you did, you wouldn't need to worry about term.
Right? Yeah.
So, okay. Quali?
I didn't watch it.
As much. Q1, snooze. Q2, snooze. Q3.
I did watch the drama, though.
There was a couple of pieces of drama. Which one were you referring to?
The George totally lifting but setting the fastest third sector ever, which also then makes me ask more questions about how these cars put out power.
Yes. I have questions too. First off, Lewis messed up his first lap, but then Ferrari hadn't put enough fuel in it, so he basically lost his first lap, and so when he put his final lap in, he had to try hard, but not too hard that he might bin it, like Max. And so he ended P1 at one point, and then somehow Charles brought one out there, and then Georgie Porgy Puddin' and Pie popped up and was suddenly appearing in the midst of a yellow flag, going extremely quickly.
I did see Lewis's interview after the race. Ooh. Or after qualifying, and they were talking about George's lap, and it's like, I haven't seen the sector times and stuff. Do you know? It's like, oh, he had the fastest third sector of anybody, and Lewis is like, well, that's interesting. and like that Lewis way of like, that should get you in trouble.
I agree with the philosophical perspective that there's something a little bit weird where he basically was crap all weekend, not on the money, wasn't on the money in Q1 or Q2 or the first part of Q3, and then somehow pulls out this magic lap conveniently right as Max Verstappen goes too fast into the final corner and absolutely slams it into the wall.
The biggest thing for me is I don't understand, like maybe the drivers don't even understand, of how you can have such a massive lift. Because let's say for a minute he did do the right thing and he did lift where it was and everything else. Let's give George the benefit of the doubt. I don't think we should, but let's give George the benefit of the doubt that he did all the right things. If you do all the right things, how are you still set it? Like, one, it's either how screwed up are the cars that you can do that and set the best third sector time, because then it means that the fastest way around in qualifying isn't going as fast as you can, which seems counterintuitive in some weird way. Or, like, he didn't lift enough, and because how can you not it does not make sense to me.
It is also true that the 12 seconds during which the entire marshals and race director were umming and ahhing about it was intentionally designed by the script writers to allow George to get his lap, because then conveniently it caused Kimi, who was behind him, to get double wave yellows. Kimi on his dash had double waved yellows. So that's why Kimi stopped. Apparently, Toto said when Kimi was like, how is it even possible? And then Toto replied to Kimi saying, you just have to learn. It's because you're young. And I'm trying to work out what that message really is. Ignore the flags. Go for it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
There was an interesting thing. I did see somebody call back to, I think when George crashed there in the similar situation, like 2022, they had the red flag thrown within like 8 seconds or so. So it would have been, if that would have happened, then George's time definitely wouldn't have counted. I think to some extent I want to say they need to do a better job on consistency when it comes to safety issues, because like that specific spot on the track is like there's no reason why George also couldn't have lost it and went careening into Max, especially if we consider the fact that he lifted where the yellow was, maybe not necessarily where Max was, because I don't know exactly on the trace where he lifted.
Yeah, so supposedly he lifted 100 meters earlier than he had been previously, and he waited to put his foot down after he had passed Max longer than he would have otherwise.
Okay, but also those things, like, and we've seen these cars behave weird sometimes if, like, the electric is suddenly put down, that it seems very easy that he could have accidentally snapped the car. Granted, they're understanding the cars a little bit more these days, but he could have accidentally snapped the car and sent it careening into Max, so... Yeah.
I agree. I feel like the problem here is that some of the messaging from the race director afterwards is like, oh, we waited a little bit to see if we could, handle it under a single wave yellow to allow people to finish their laps. And I'm like, well, okay, but then you let the one person through. It felt a little... I know it probably wasn't contrived, because that would be one hell of a conspiracy theory. Welcome to Tinfoil Helmets.
Well, this is just why Mercedes let go of the Monaco penalty situation.
You are right.
If we're going to go conspiracy theory on it, this is the payback.
I got it. So as part of the script, Max was always supposed to crash, but they weren't going to throw the yellows until they were going to throw the double yellows or red flag it earlier. But because Mercedes agreed to stop embarrassing the FIA after their unmitigated screw-up that was measuring the pit lane in Monaco, they said, okay, you're going to give us a solid when that script... Okay, yeah, because otherwise we're going to have to listen to George whine for the next 3 months about how you can't get a win because Manuel and Kimi something, blah, 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 etc. Yeah, makes sense. Got it.
Yep. That's how I view the situation.
Yep. I subscribe to that. Race?
Well, we have P3 Lewis washed.
Yeah, can't get it into P1.
Can't even out-qualify his teammate anymore.
Can't even out-qualify his teammate. It's just disastrous.
Was Kimi fourth or fifth?
Who?
Fourth, I think. Kimi Antonelli. Fourth?
Yes, because Max was fifth.
Yep. Cool.
Kimi washed.
Shall we talk about the race?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Or the final season of The Crown?
I just can't remember it. I don't have time to rewatch it again.
That's fair. It's fair.
I can recommend Widow's Bay.
Diana died. William didn't like the public attention.
Yeah, no.
I did enjoy the real life William singing. I think it was Sweet Caroline at a World Cup match.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he seems like a. Do you
think he's stopping by to say hi to Harry before he goes back to England?
I should hope so.
Okay, because Harry was going to England for the Invictus game, but now he's not going to bring the family because the UK refused to give him a police protection for reasons I don't understand.
Well, okay.
Anyway, no one binned it at the start.
Well, is Harry still a royal? Because I know he renounced some stuff.
Yeah, he's still Prince Harry.
Is he still HRH?
I believe technically he is still HRH.
Okay.
Meghan has been Meghan. Christ.
That's the German Chancellor.
Yes, that's Merkel. Meghan Markle. Has been told that she cannot use HRH, and she got in trouble last year because she wrote HRH on the end of an invitation to a friend to come round for Christmas lunch or something, and somebody found out. But they're supposed to have stepped back from royal life, and I understand that that's the perspective, and maybe you don't have to give him a full, police something, but he probably needs police protection because it strikes me as a bunch of crazies would be willing to off any one of those members of Harry's family.
Huh.
Anyway, so no one binned it at the start. Which kind of surprised me. Oh, no, we're not.
In 2020, Queen Elizabeth issued a statement confirming that the couple would no longer actively use their HRH styles.
But they are technically still
Harry is still an HRH on paper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He is... Is he currently listed as the Duke of Sussex?
See, this is where it gets very complicated. What you are versus what you can call yourself. It's very...
He is currently the Duke of Sussex.
Living in Los Angeles.
He should be the Duke of Los Angeles.
He could be the Duke of Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills.
Meghan is the Duchess of Sussex.
Mm-hmm. It's very complicated. Anyway, let's bring this back.
Yeah, but we have the British Grand Prix next week. We need to be ready for it.
Well, that's when we'll have to cover it. We'll see who shows up for the British Grand Prix, which royal is in the stands waving away.
Will England already be eliminated in the World Cup by then?
Without question. Absolutely.
This is how great the race was. I'm doing everything but the race, and I actually watched it. Matches. Harry Kane, hate that guy. They play the Democratic Republic of Congo in the round of 32.
When?
A Wednesday.
Okay, so they can be knocked out.
Yeah, they can, but I don't know if DRC is going to be able to do it.
Okay, this is the thing that, and I hope anybody who is from the United Kingdom fully understands this. England looks like they're going to do it. They will face someone who they are not, they should not be challenged by. They will then waste most of the match looking like a bunch of chuckleheads. And then only in the last few minutes will they somehow save it through a fumble and a screw-up by the other team. And then once more, the hopes will continue onwards. So we'll see what happens.
So interestingly, if England wins, they'll play either Mexico or Ecuador in the round of 16, which is on the same day of the British Grand Prix.
Oh.
So maybe my British Grand Prix prediction should be that the Brits have their hearts broken by a non-British driver winning at Silverstone and England being eliminated from the World Cup.
That's a great prediction. You should step it a little bit further. Not only will the Brit not win, there'll be no Brits on the podium.
No, I'm not going. There's too many in the field for that to happen. I mean, geez, you get 3 retirements and you're already there, like almost guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's bring it back.
Like when was the last time there was a Brit not on a podium of a Formula One race?
That's a beautiful stat we should look up.
I'm gonna see.
While you work on that stat, I will try and get us forward to a bit of the race that's worth discussing, because most of it wasn't, and it wasn't terribly great. No one bent it at the start, as I have said, which kind of surprised me, to be honest, although Kimi tried very hard, he went a bit wide. And then there was some going around, for reasons that I can't really remember why they were going around, but there was some going around and nobody went anywhere. And then Ferrari on lap 12. Bear in mind, this is a 71-lap race, and they started on mediums. Ferrari pulls some great Ferrari strategies, and they decided to pit Lewis, and then immediately afterwards, 1 lap later, they pitted Charles, because Charles had managed to screw up from P2 and end up behind everybody else. I look like we might have an update here on the statistic.
I need to remember the races.
The what?
No, stupid AI.
Yeah, no.
It said the last one was the 2016 or the 2026 Monaco Grand Prix with Verstappen, Leclerc, and Piastri, and it's like this year the race was Kimi, Lewis, and Pierre. Like,
I love the AIs.
It's so bad. Cancelled. Oh, the Japanese Grand Prix was Kimi, Oscar, and Charles.
Okay. Not that long ago. See, it could happen again. Could happen again. Okay, so we've now gone round in circles for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then
poor Charles. I mean, Lewis mugged him right at the start, pretty much. Got past right away.
He also got stuck behind somebody who was.
Yeah,
Charles
Lewis.
No. I think it was. Charles kind of screws up. Something gets wrong. Gets mugged by Lewis, but then he gets stuck behind someone else, and he can't put his foot down. And it's not Lewis. I think it was Kimi who caused him to have to go wide. Blah blah blah. Train wreck, etc. etc.
Speaking of going wide, Kimi exploring the whole bounds of the Red Bull ring there on the first 2 laps.
You know what really confused me about Austria this year, and I think it was also true last year? What happened to track limits in Austria? Because remember, it was 4 seasons where there's 29 laps deleted, and you didn't know what was going to happen until,
specifically on the last 2 corners. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't understand what happened. Is it because they put gravel there and everybody was like, oh, I better not go over the edge there. That might be a bit hurty.
They stopped being naughty boys.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, speaking of naughty boys.
No, but hold on. I want to talk about Kimi and his track exploration and how since he wasn't gaining a lasting advantage. He did give the 1 place back on Charles when he did do that, but man, he straight lined some of those corners.
As all the greats will. You push right up to the boundary and straight through them. It's okay.
Yeah. I think to some extent, Max needed to be closer to win that argument, but I don't know. When you outbreak yourself that poorly, I think it has to be some sort of lasting advantage.
No, I agree. I do feel that there should be a way that they enforce going off the track in some sort, in today's modern world where basically it's a magic computer that they're driving around. It should be, if it detects that you go over the white line, it cuts your power. Not the whole engine, but cuts your battery deployment for half a lap or something.
So a Gran Turismo penalty or something?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I could see it.
It would work.
Maybe a second penalty for every meter you venture off the track.
Oh, I like that. Yes. And how many meters multiplied as a factor of how many meters you were off the track.
Yeah, yeah.
So
if you go 5 meters wide, that's a 5-second penalty.
But if it takes you another 5 seconds to get back onto the track again, you get multiplied by half that time. So if it's 5 meters multiplied by 2.5, that's how many meters you don't have any power for.
What if you get a penalty for the amount of time you are off the track?
Yes, there we go.
Yeah, just total off track time.
Yeah.
So we have two classes of. So we also have if track limits, if you're just barely off, and you cut the corner.
Yeah.
We'll call you for that. And then if you go on adventuring, that's the amount of time you went adventuring is the amount of time you have to give back.
Love it. Perfect.
What else are we talking about?
Yeah, speaking of people going for track limits, Max rocks up on Lewis, who was clearly struggling with his hard tyres, but it wasn't really working for him. But then Max discovered it was being cast back through a wormhole to 2021 again, because Lewis was in a good mood and hadn't give up on everything and thought the world was going to end. And he decided that maybe he'd show Max who's king. And it was funny because Max was like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing. And of course he's going to, oh God, I'm about to go off. And of course, 3 seconds later, he's on the radio again. Oh no, oh, that's a penalty, that is. Oh yeah, I got pushed too far. Blah,
hey,
blah,
that was
blah.
the best 2 laps of the race. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, it was the best 2 laps of the race, which is terrifying.
But that one lap where they were really going for it and Lewis stayed ahead, and then the other lap where Max was like, screw you, I'm going to undercut this. It was that might be the best 2 laps of the season.
It was because nobody takes it to Max, and then you were also happy because Lewis was back, and it was just for that brief 2 minutes there was we could have a whole season of this. We had it. We were robbed by the end of it.
The FIA should never change regulations. We should still be running the same cars they ran in the 50s.
I agree, kind of. And then
I want the Tyrrell 6-wheeler back.
Exactly. Carlos's car decided it didn't want to do the rest of the race because maybe it was too hot. Either way, it did sound like an absolute bag of hammers as he comes around the final corner on lap 24, and it's and he pulls over in the pit lane, which causes a VSC.
And Kimi pits before the VSC?
This was by 100 meters. And so he's in the pits.
Stay out. Come on, Bono, you know how to do the call. We saw Lewis go over the line at the...
I honestly think this was the entire Mercedes team not react. The chain of command took too long for the information that there was a car stopped on the pit lane that would have been no, hold it, Kimi, hold it. I think it just took too long to get through the ecosystem. They need to go back and have a retrospective on that.
Yeah, but Bono's so on top of things. I think Bono could have been I think Bono just should have made the call, stay out.
But he needed to have noticed what had happened, and I think it was tight enough that he may not have yet immediately noticed exactly what had happened.
I think there was time.
I think there possibly was, but I feel just the signal didn't quite make it to them. The decision would have been made quickly, but...
Yeah. I think it was one of those things of because we knew pretty quickly that there was a yellow flag. I mean, it would have happened right in front of them essentially, so they would have known it was on the straight. It would have been pretty clear pretty quick. And you think somebody would have been yelling in Bono's ear, stay out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody just was, they'd had their they'd picked up their glass of water to have a sip of water right when they were just not quite looking to the 100% of the
on the flip side, they did try to call Lewis in right after he had passed pit entry.
Yep.
Actually, that's a point that they should have been able to tell Kimi because they tried to call Lewis in.
Was Lewis in front?
Lewis would have been in front of Kimi at the time, and they tried to call Lewis in. Maybe it was the next lap around or something. I don't know. But they tried to call Lewis in. Maybe Lewis was behind. I don't know. I forget.
Either way.
That's how boring the race was.
Yes. It was much of a snooze fest after this, really.
Yeah.
Max keeps trying to hunt, but not really getting it. Russell keeps trying, it keeps going around.
They put Lewis on the softs?
Which he had a really good stint on the softs and made them
a surprisingly good stint, but
yes. It was a very odd strategy.
But it's that you're not going to the end and you only have 10 laps of flexibility.
And I think that was an interesting strategy play, and I think it actually worked out for them. I think the hards were not working well on that Ferrari. And I think it was seeing his pace on the softs, I think it was a great example of, I think, per your comment last week, maybe it wasn't the perfect strategy, but I think for one of the better strategies that you've seen Ferrari try and play. They adapted, they learned, they switched it up, they were communicating. The team's still there, it just wasn't the right weekend for the car.
I would definitely say that it shows a little bit more of that because it used to be Ferrari. It seemed like Ferrari was paralyzed by decision making, and at least you saw today that they were still trying to make decisions to like move the cars forward, and they were trying different things that like, I think we realized about halfway through the race when they were talking about like turning to like mode TS or something like that, I think to try to cool the car briefly. Like I think we understood at that point in time that this car was not working in these conditions, and they were doing the best they could to salvage the race.
And then where we were at this point, what's happened?
Then the other thing was Max was starting to pull in on George, which was really interesting because he was within 1 second at some point in time, and then they pitted George, and then Max stayed out for like 5 more laps, and then he had a 10-second gap to George when he pitted. And this was, I think, my kind of thing at the top of between kind of Ferrari maybe trying some stuff they shouldn't have tried, but they could have just been the car, and then also I think a rare misstep from Red Bull as well to not either try to pit ahead of George knowing the undercut was powerful or immediately following him in, before or after sort of thing. Like, I don't even think it's you do the opposite sort of thing in that situation. It's one of those like we'll see Mercedes come out, we'll come out as well if they're going in. If we don't call you in, follow George in sort of situation. And we'll try to, maybe we can get him in the pit stop or something like that. Like put pressure on the pit stop teams to do it. So I was surprised to see that level of, I don't want to say concern, but like that level of, oh, we'll make it back up somehow happen from Red Bull. When you have him right there, you were closing in on him. You could put on the better tire towards the end. You could have gone all the way on the medium because they also put him on the hard for the last stint. I was surprised to see that instead of the medium. So, yeah.
There was a lot of weird tire strategies going on because some people had these ones and some people had 2 of these and the other one. And nobody seemed to really take advantage of the excess that they had.
Yeah, and they made a big point for Max being that he had 2 sets of mediums and 2 sets of hards that were not used. So he had all the flexibility and seemed to use none of it. A rare misstep, it seems like, from Red Bull. Or is Hannah moonlighting for Ferrari these days?
Maybe there may have been just that was the stress of all the pointy head bosses being there from Red Bull.
Yeah, maybe.
So they go around a lot and it gets real close. And then Kimi decides it's time for him to stop. Oh no, wait, there's another VSC right after Kimi stopped. Yeah, so the Bollard decided that it didn't want to participate in the race anymore because Alex Albon was bullying it. And it popped off and they had to send a marshal out to get it.
And then Bernie Collins was bullying Kimi Antonelli about missing a VSC twice by a lap.
Yeah, good luck, man. Good luck. And then we all finished up with Russell, Max, Kimi behind Max by 0.3 seconds. Was it 2.7 seconds from the first to third? It was pretty close. A few more laps. George would have been done.
The interval between Max and George was 1.6 seconds. The interval between Max and Kimi was 0.3 seconds.
Apparently, one of the other stats is George has only won this season by a very tight margin at the end of the race.
Yep, it was 2 seconds in the top 3, and then 20 seconds to Oscar, and then 26 seconds to Lewis, and then 29 seconds to. Oh, that's from the leader.
I was going to say that's gap to leader, not interval. Wow,
my bad.
You could be forgiven because when you see that the Aston Martin was 3 laps down, that would maybe have made sense if they all had an equal gap.
Hey, Charles finished on the lead lap. Good for Charles.
Good for Charles. So yeah, we're off to Silverstone. But then Toto came out and said, those Ferrari guys keep bringing a bunch of upgrades. How can they possibly afford to bring it? And so he's making a suggestion that maybe Ferrari's blowing the cost cap. It's the only way Fred can keep Lewis's hopes alive. Blow the cost cap. Driver of the day?
I put Max.
Okay.
Which is what the official driver of the day was as well.
It's also my Max. Did you see on the thing that they have driver of the day championships now? They're like, this driver's won this many drivers of the day. And I'm like, can we not please? Like, we've got one championship. We don't really need another one.
I think it'd be fun if you get 25 points. Or if we do points at the end of the season based on driver of the days.
Yep.
So like if you have the most driver of the days, and we can even do it like, because they always do like 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. So like we can have like a points table across the season of like 3 points for first, 2 points for second, sort of thing. And then at the end of the season, you can rank all the drivers based on their driver of the day vote getting, and then we'll award the same 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8. 6,
Love
4,
it. 3,
2, 1. Yeah.
Perfect. It's like fastest lap, but less exciting.
Yeah.
my driver couldn't wait for it to be over with because Charles, he spent most of the race stuck in reverse going backwards.
Doubly so because you started ahead of your teammate and you finished so far behind your teammate.
Yeah. But, there's a fun fact coming up about that. Which team's debrief do you want to be in? I don't really want to be in any of them. They don't seem very interesting to me.
You could be in the steward's room and ask them about the qualification flags.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll go with that. I'm going to have the quali. Let's go with that. I'm going to be in the steward's room after the race. I'm going to berate them about the yellow flags.
Yeah. Maybe if we're picking a team, I'd be in Ferrari just to see, like, are the vibes good?
Is it 11?
Not necessarily is it 11, but is it a case of, like, to your point of they were trying everything to see what would work, what didn't work, like they were actually trying a proactive strategy rather than a passive strategy. Like, is Ferrari actually becoming good?
Lewis was quoted up.
I think we're actually to a point at some point in time that if Charles is able to win a world championship in the next year or year to 3 years, within 1 year of Lewis Hamilton leaving Ferrari, I think that will be a championship that happened because of Lewis Hamilton.
He should get the assist.
Yeah.
Lewis did say post-race that when people were asking him about strategy and the car and whatever, he's like, we did a great job this weekend. We executed really well. The car just wasn't working. It's a car problem. It's not a me problem. It's not a team problem. We're just going to go back. And when I was like, oh, that's nice.
That's some big praise from Lewis.
Yeah, big praise from Lewis.
I did see that Ferrari will allow Lewis to go skydiving, but they won't allow Charles to go skydiving.
Huh. Interesting.
Well, first off, you let Lewis do whatever he wants because at this point he's earned it. And second, maybe they're just concerned Charles won't open the parachute.
That's too real, man. That's way too real.
Sorry.
Chaco versus Valtteri Watch.
Today it was a race of whose car could catch fire first.
Yeah, I was going to say, Cadillac were on fire this weekend. Literally. So Perez was not classified, but on the final results, he was ahead of Perez. So 6-2 to Perez.
He did do twice the amount of laps that Valtteri did. Four compared to 2.
4. 2 races in a row now that they've had brakes go on fire.
If there was ever a time for this to be like 5-2-1 of just calling this a tie for today, I think this is the result most deserving of a tie. Like it's not like Sergio made it any more meaningful of a race distance than Valtteri did. Like they were both gone before the 10% of the race mark.
I really need Cadillac to keep trying. I think they are, but I really don't want them to get to the end of the season and say it was a train wreck. We're going to cut our losses.
What if they do, and they sell to Andretti?
That would be very funny.
I would love it.
But then Andretti won't have the money to do all the work that they need to do.
Fair enough. Well, it could be a Braun situation.
Could be a Braun situation. Then who's going to buy them after that? Renault?
Honda.
Okay, there we go. Love it.
Well, we'll do the Mercedes in reverse. So we'll go, instead of Mercedes, Braun, or Honda, Braun, Mercedes, we'll go Cadillac, Andretti, Honda.
Love it. Perfect. Honda finally works out what it wants to do. Okay. Fun fact corner.
No, because then they'll leave the series in like 3 years.
Charles's point deficit to Lewis is the largest it has been of his entire career.
Like to his teammate?
Correct.
Lewis is back, baby.
Yeah, let's go with that. Not that Charles is emotionally troubled. Been abused by Ferrari. Anyway, I don't have any spicy takes or rumors. Do you have any spicy takes or rumors?
I said it with my best was the Q3 and George and the Monaco penalty.
Yeah. Okay. Should we do predictions for Silverstone?
Sure. I need a third one. I'm still trying to figure it out.
We'll start with one. I'm going to say that Lewis wins by a country mile because he seems to do that whenever he ends up in Silverstone.
And Silverstone's in the country.
Exactly. Now I've got the Blur song Country House going through. Big house in the country.
Blur have another song besides song 2?
Yes, they also have Park Life, which is a classic song. Jeez. And Beetle Bum.
Now you're going to tell me Blur is better than Oasis.
No. They thought they were, but they're not. They didn't land the hits in quite the same way. Anyway.
I mean, not everybody can write Champagne Supernova.
Or Wonderwall.
Okay, we've listed all the good Oasis songs.
Definitely maybe. Supersonic.
These are songs? We all know that Coldplay is the superior British band of the era.
I do not consider them part of the same era. I'm pretty sure Oasis was washed up before Coldplay started.
Okay, hold on. We're going to go through this. So we've
why
done
did
this
you-
before. We're doing it again.
Yeah, let me round out my predictions, just, so we've got a nice little break point. I said George's engine's going to go bang, which would be hilarious. And then last but not least, and I'm really holding out for this, rain. We need a rainy race. I'm disappointed that we've got this far into the season, haven't had a rainy race.
Well, we were going to have one and they moved it.
I know. Wusses. Oh, it's a sprint race?
Do you consider Heavenly Chemistry to be a good Oasis album?
No.
What about Don't Believe in Truth? Don't Believe in the Truth?
No.
What about Dig Out Your Soul?
No. That's a compilation, I think.
All right, fine. What about Standing on the Shoulders of Giants?
No.
Okay. Be Here Now is
There's the last one of their good era.
Okay.
It's not to say the others are bad, but they don't have any, knockout hits.
Okay, because Oasis released 4 studio albums. They're not compilations. Studio albums. Compilations, they did have some compilations after the fact. But of their studio albums, there were 4 studio albums that Oasis released after Coldplay released their first album.
And what was their first album? Parachutes?
Parachutes. But, and even Rush of Blood to the Head was 2002 and still well before Coldplay finished.
Rush of Blood was 2002?
Yeah, and X and Y was 2005.
Huh.
But I would say probably Rush of Blood to the Head is probably Coldplay's best album.
I think I'd agree with that sentiment.
Yeah. X and Y charted better.
Yeah, I think everybody bought it with high expectations, including myself.
Yeah. But Rush of Blood to the Head did sell more in the UK.
There you go. 2000, I swear I didn't hear it until after I left the UK. But anyway, so what about your predictions for Silverstone, where we're going to have Coldplay play at the theme tune during something Sky coverage something?
I said that Dominic forgets it's a sprint race.
Which I just did until I read it, and I'm like punching myself in the face now.
I said England out of the World Cup and no British driver winner. So I'm going to do double defeat for the Brits on a day. And I'll say a different winners between sprint and Grand Prix.
Oh, I like that. Good one. Yes.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about? The Crown. I also rewatched Band of Brothers recently because that's fun. And, yeah.
So, what have I been
last weekend or recently we had Father's Day around, and I did the most Father's Day thing I could think of. I watched Pressure with I forget who the actors were, but it's about the D-Day invasion and the weather forecasting going into the D-Day invasion.
Oh, so it's like 43 and descending at Dogger, something.
Yeah, a lot of that.
Okay.
A lot of weather chat. Millibars and hectopascals and all that.
I'll show Hector his pascals if he's not careful.
Yeah. Hectopascals, whatever it is.
I would say everybody should give Widow's Bay a shot. It's pretty good.
Oh, with Michael Reis?
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch The Americans?
No.
Oh, The Americans is an amazing show. You should go watch The Americans.
I didn't realise Michael Reis was Welsh.
He is Welsh. He's very Welsh.
And one of the other main characters in Widow's Bay is from Manchester and speaks with a strong northern accent. Except both of these actor and actresses in this TV show are impeccable, and I had zero idea that they were not Native American tongued.
The more times I watch Band of Brothers, which I do watch it occasionally because it's a very good miniseries, it's always fun to spot like the guys who were up and coming at the time, like Michael Fassbender's in it, as is James McAvoy, but Fassbender's in it more. And the more I watch, I realize who Michael Fassbender is playing in Band of Brothers, the more I realize he's doing the worst job of an American accent. Like, the first time you watch it, it's like, that's a bit of a silly accent. Oh, well, who cares? He's clearly American. And then, like, now it's like, oh, that's clearly Michael Fassbender. Oh, that is clearly him doing his best, and it's not great.
Speaking of funny accents...
It's right up there with his Steve Jobs. Like, This Steve Jobs is a bit Irish, even though he's trying to not be.
Hello! hello, I'd like to be introducing the iPhone now. It's got 3 phones in one, a music player, a web browser, and a phone, all in one jolly little box now.
I would like to remind our listeners, or listener at this point in time, that if you're going to write an angry email, Dominic does have an Irish passport.
Exactly. Speaking of funny accents, Sheep Detectives is on Amazon Prime, and I watched that last night. And
how was that?
It was good, enjoyable, all-round family-friendly fun. The sheep were amazing.
It does have Hugh Jackman in it, right?
It does have Hugh Jackman in it, but not as long as the front of the poster would let you suggest.
No. I believe he is the guy that dies pretty quickly in the movie.
Yes, exactly. He's gone pretty quickly. Dead body, everything.
What
really
Brett Goldstein's in it as well, isn't he?
Correct. Twice.
He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where.
Yes. But what was very confusing is I did not understand why every sheep had a randomly different accent. You've got the nice local down in the middle, like, and then you've got the thespian from Patrick Stewart, who is the very learned one, and you're like, okay. And then you've got the howdy doodly do American guy, and then you're like, you got this, and I'm just like, where did the accents come from? Like, they're sheep. Surely they are all grown in approximately the same field. And they should all have a very boring accent. Oh, no, not boring. A very similar accent. But no, it was not.
Like a Yorkshire accent?
Ah, exactly. I'm a sheep, I am. And one of them is a bit like that, and he speaks like that. And you got another one with an Irish accent. What I think was maybe the one, without giving the plot, where there are some other sheep from a different field. And they, I think, might have had a French accent. I'm not sure. They did look like the Swiss something or other sheep with the big black face and the things on the wool that hangs over their face. Sure. Shall we bring it home?
Sure.
What are we doing? Oh yeah, as always, we are sitting here waiting every moment, every day for your feedback at feedback@tinfoil.helmets. Wait, no, what? Feedback@tinfoilhelmets.com, because you're going to get it right. And let us know your wants, conspiracy theories, feedbacks about conspiracy theories. And remember to tell your friends to like, listen, rate, I cannot speak today, and subscribe.
Jesus, you want to try it in an accent?
Okay. Hello there. We're waiting for your feedback now. Write into feedback@tinfoilhelmets.com and let us know your conspiracy theories, your feedback and wants, and tell your friends to like, listen, rate and subscribe to the greatest podcast with a dumbass accent at the end of it.